Well, hello there. And we're going to take a look in this video how to use the lab tool being hosted by Vocarium, really hosted on the AWS's infrastructure. And we're going to start taking a look at these labs by first going to our course shell and taking a look at a lab assignment as it's introduced. This is the first lab assignment for this course. And you can see that it gives you a notification here about not using the sandbox. Ensure that you use the AWS Academy Lab 1 Introduction to AWS IAM. And that's what's going to coordinate with that. Now you'll find that over here in this course here. And so what you want to ensure is that you go through this material before you get to the lab, because this material is going to explain it, including a console demonstration. So I'm going to go through how to get into the lab and how to do this, and then how to wrap it up. That's the primary task here. And then we'll take a look more about how to use the console. So let me drop back over to the lab. And so you can see we're back here on SDCCD, and we're learning about what's going to go in the lab. And all lab modules will have some kind of explanation. And most of the time, this information is going to come right out of the lab, out of AWS. But this way, you could read about it, you can learn about it, you can find out about how long this one takes. I think this one, somewhere here, I said, yes, about 45 minutes. So plan on an hour of uninterrupted time, so that way you can work on it. But also take note that you'll have much more than that in your lab session. So when you actually start this lab session, you get, I believe, 4 hours. So it's much more than you'll ever need for the lab itself. You'll access the lab, the actual lab environment, through the AWS Academy. So I always embed a little link here so you can get to it. And then down here for this very first lab, I actually provide instructions on, or provide a screenshot of what you're going to need to deliver and submit. And you can see that's right here, and it shows you that you'll need to get a screenshot of this, and you'll actually be able to get this at the very end of the lab. So by the time you're done, you'll need to be able to go in here and get this. So always look for that deliverable, know exactly what you need to get a screenshot of and submit. And please do not do full desktop screenshots where you capture the whole desktop. I just need the information that's here, because when I look at it on my display in the grading tool, if it's too small, I won't be able to grade it. So there's all of that. So you can see right now, this is giving us also the due date, should be done by the Sunday. And usually there'll be a date that it's available till, and then you get your points and so forth. I'm going to pause the video. We're going to take a moment and go jump back into the AWS Academy. So here we are back in the AWS Academy, and you can say I'm here down in Module 4 for this course. The first lab is actually under the Module 4 AWS Cloud Security, and you can see that's right over here. And note, once again, it's right above the knowledge check. So I'm going to click on this. Now, if I've not used the sandbox tool or any other lab, this may not be ready for me just yet. And so if I click on it, and I just get this big blank screen, and I'm looking at it going, what's up with that? What I really need to do is go over here and refresh at the top of my browser and give it a moment, and I should get this, the terms and conditions. Now, I shouldn't get this every time. You just need to sign off in the terms and conditions. In the process of doing this, this will be creating a new account for me in the Vocarium course materials. So I scroll it to the bottom and hit I agree. And it populates with something that should look really familiar, the instruction set that I mentioned. But one of the things you're going to notice is that when I scroll through the instructions, this is going to go and provide all the instructions. What I provide in the other course portal is just the introduction to this. So you can see it has the instructions step by step. This is called a guided lab. So this is going to show you exactly how to go about the process. And so things to take note of, you're probably going to want to go ahead and get the lab started before you start reading any of this. So if you come up to the top here, you can see the Start Lab button. So I'll click that, and I'm going to see a progress wheel. This is going to take a few minutes. So I usually advise you to click that, allow it to pre-warm the lab. What it's going to do is build out the lab environment. And if it doesn't give you a pop-up, and that's what I was waiting for. So here we go. You can see lab status. It's in creation. It'll be really obvious when it's ready because that progress wheel will disappear. It's also telling me that it's running a CloudFormation stack, which is really nothing more than a template that builds out all the resources that I need to conduct my lab in the AWS environment. And we'll learn more about these CloudFormation templates in a later lab, and I'll keep bringing it back because they're very useful. This gives us the programmability for our environment. So this becomes infrastructure as code. That's what this does for us. So this is being built for me right now. And you can see that this is going. Eventually, I'm going to see some other information in here. Now, at this point, I can close this. And then what I can do is I can scroll down through here and explore the different parts of the lab, the different tasks. There's usually a series of tasks that I'll need to complete. There's usually a series of screenshots that I'll need to use to help me. In a lot of cases, those screenshots are going to be accurate, and periodically AWS modifies their environment, and the console tool will look a little different, which means the screenshot might not be an exact match, and even the process could look different. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this video until this is ready for us, and then we're going to jump back in. Okay, we can see here at the top that the progress is complete. It's ready to go. So what I'm going to do is press on the AWS button. This will open up another tab, which opens the console. And what's basically happening here in the background that you don't see is that a time-sensitive session token is sent. And that is what is allowing me to log in under the Vocab Labs account. That is the account that I'm operating under. Here's the user account, test student. That's the one I happen to be using for this. And you can see that I'm in the main management console here. One of the things I want you to notice is that our instruction set is still available to us. And if I don't need to look at the instructions because I'm just in here playing, then that's fine. But this is going to create a problem for me because having to flip back and forth between these two is not going to be too pleasant. So there's generally an easier way to do this, which is to have both pages side by side. So I'll show you what that looks like for a moment here. And here you can see that I've now got the two side by side, the two tabs. So this way I can scroll up and down in both of these. So basically I placed them side by side so I can get access to both at the same time. So now let's take a look on here, and you can see that I have this management console. One of the things to be aware of is that when you resize this management console, you will find that it has a fluid experience. So that means certain things will disappear, but really what that does is it ends up wrapping around to the bottom of the page. So if you're looking for something that seems to have disappeared, it's probably that it just wrapped to the bottom. The other thing I want you to take note of is that we have a search box up here. We can't really see that. So sometimes you're going to have to expand things out a little bit, and there's the search box. Now in the lab itself, it says that I need to get to the IAM. So let me scroll down, and I'm going to get to that point in the lab where it said, hey, you've set it all up, and now you're going to go into the lab itself. And that's our first task. So it'll tell me to, within the AWS Management Console, go to the Services menu and click IAM. So what I wanted to point out is that if you don't find the service you're looking for under Recently Visited Services, then you can click on this All Services button, and you can select them out of the service categories. However, be aware that the service categories can be kind of lengthy and hard to find things. So I usually like to just search for them, and I'll just type in this name of the service I'm looking for, the IAM service. And when I do that, I'll also notice that they give me some top features out of that, and I can go right to a feature. So if I knew I needed to get to a specific feature, I could select one of these. Otherwise, I will just select it right off of here. And this will open up within the Identity and Access Management dashboard. And the great thing about the dashboard is that it provides me a quick look at resources. I can see that for this lab, they've already created 4 users, 3 groups. There's a series of roles, and you're going to learn all about these. But the main thing to take away from this is that this gives us the big overview, some best practices, and you can scroll through it and you can find all kinds of great things that just link out into some other documentation and videos. You have a navigation panel down the side here, and you have the ability to close and open some of these areas. You can search up within IAM itself, so you don't have to search all over the place. If you're looking for something, you just do a search through here. You can click on any one of these links and they will take you where you need to go. So here I've gone to users, and as you can see, it actually told me to go there. But if I'm back on dashboard, if you'll note that they have the users here, and if I click on that, it will take me to the same place. So oftentimes you'll be cross-linked in multiple ways to get to places. Well, let's go back over to their dashboard. Now, what does it look like if I go to another service? If I click on here and I just type in, let's say S3 service, right? Well, what's great about going to the S3 service and using this is I could right click on it and say, hey, let's open this in another link. This allows me to maintain my page here, and I can just close this out. There we go. And then I have this page as well. So now I have two services in front of me. And so that way I don't have to keep going back and forth trying to find it. I can just leave these tabs open and that'll be fine. One of the things you're also going to note is at the very top here, and let me roll this out a little bit. You will learn much more about this as we go, but each service is going to reside either in global or more likely, and let's take a look at this. We're going to put in EC2 here. That's the EC2 service. More likely, it's going to reside in a region. And so when it comes to data, data is housed in a region because it's housed in a particular data center, which will live in a region. And so therefore, whenever you're thinking data in terms of data and data storage, it's going to be regionally based. You'll notice that I have a single instance running here in the Northern Virginia region. And if I click on that, I could actually see it. Now, let me change the region and I'll drop it to Northern California. And let's see what this lab set up for Northern California. And one of the first things I'm going to notice is that it says there's nothing running here. It also noticed that it didn't take me to the dashboard. It took me to basically the same location I was in the other region. So I can click on here, go to my dashboard, and you'll see there's no instances running here in the Northern California. Now, I can use my back button if I'd like to return the IAM, and it just takes me a couple back buttons here, and I'm good, right? One of the things I want you to notice is that, oh, I didn't go far enough. Let's keep going here. And I probably need to just do this, and I can drop down here like that. There we go. IAM is global. It's not holding data in the same way that, say, an EC2 would be holding or maintaining data, or S3. So it's global. It's completely globally based. Everything's grayed out, nothing to select. You're going to learn more about that. S3 is also considered global. Everything's grayed out. But the difference is with S3, when you're creating a bucket to store objects in, you'll create the buckets in a region. So this is one of the odd ones. With EC2, et cetera, it's all regional. With at least these two services, it's somewhat really regionally based. For S3, it's definitely regionally based per bucket. But in here, we can see all of our resources in one area. Versus if I have an EC2, which I showed you earlier. Let me open this in its own tab. Each of these are regionally based. So if I change the region, I will no longer see that resource running there. You'll see there's nothing there. So you'll get used to this. So again, many services are regionally based. A couple of them are not. These services are regional, yet you can see them all in one location. And then IAM is completely global. It's one of the services that's global. All right. A couple other things to take note of. If for some reason you make the mistake of completely closing out all those tabs and you go, oh, wow, I totally closed that out. One of the things I want you to notice is the lab's still running. So since we already have a token issued, then really all I have to do is hit the AWS button again. And that's going to create a new tab and drop me back into the console. No harm, no foul. Lab's still running. Okay, and you can see that over here. And I'm all good to go. I'm back in here, and then I can get to where I need to go. Okay, that's basically it for this. Just make sure as you get going, you're going to go through this lab. And then when you get to the very end, just follow along. Now, if I always know what deliverable you'll need to get for me, meaning a screenshot. And here's the screenshot that I need. This one happens to ask for the screenshot. You can get it at the end of the results of task 2. So if I go back over to the instructions, the instructions here, I can see task 2 is up. In this case, oh, I'm on the wrong tab. There we go. Task 2 is actually right around here. So when you get to the end of the task 2 and just before task 3, you might want to get a sticky note or stick something like that on your system. Well, it's pretty much at the end, actually. That's at the end of task 2. You can just get it then for this one. But I might ask you to get something at the end of task 1. And that would require you to get that screen. Oh, see, there it is. I missed the task 3. So you're going to want to get it somewhere around here. You also need to remember what you're supposed to get a screenshot of. Pretty clear here. What you don't want to do is get a screenshot of the whole screen. It's too big. So now, one of the things that's great about Firefox, and you can use whatever screen capture facility you want, but let's go ahead and go to the IM, and let's just pretend we finished. And we are now ready to screenshot this. And so what I'm going to do within here is I'm going to go ahead, and let's say all this is done, and let's just say it matches up. Now, of course, it doesn't match because I didn't complete the task, but let's just say it did. What do I need to get a screenshot of? I basically need to make it look somewhat like this. What I want to do is capture the name here, and then the rest of these elements that I see here. And you can get a little bit of this if you need to. So with Firefox, I've got a neat screen capture. I can do it, take a screenshot. And then what I can do is I can just kind of put this cursor over here in the corner and basically get this. And it's got my name at the top. It's got all of that. And I'll just hit the download. And you'll see there's the downloaded screenshot. And if I open it, you can't see it. And this is basically what it looks like. And you can see right here, it's got a name and it shows me the information that I've asked for. Of course, this one's not done. So this, if I were to submit that, or if you were to submit this the way this looks, I would simply ask you to go back, complete the lab, make sure you follow the directions, and then give me a screenshot that looks similar to what we saw on the deliverables instructions. Okay, that's essentially it. At this point, the lab is complete. So let me stop for a moment. We're going to go back over. We're going to end the lab and get out of there. Okay, so there we go. So let's go ahead and get this wrapped up. So when we get to the end of the lab instruction set, you'll be down here, and you captured that screenshot. What we want to do is make sure we end the lab. Now, if you intend to do another lab immediately following, we have to flush the session cookie if there's still time left. There's clearly time left. This has been counting down. Started with 4 hours. I'm done. Finished it pretty quickly. So what I'm going to do is come back to the console. And the most effective thing to do at this stage is just go ahead and sign out. That should help flush that session cookie out. Now, the next step is to come back over here, and we're going to end the lab. And it'll ask me if I'm sure, and I'll say yes. That'll stop the expenses out of my student wallet. As you recall, I've mentioned previously that every student gets a wallet when you join this class to spend, or what happens is as you do labs or complete labs, that'll be expensed from that wallet. You get about a $10 wallet last time I checked, but it's more than sufficient to get all your labs done. A lab takes far fewer resources than you would believe, usually far less than $1 to do a lab. There's a couple labs that take a little bit more than that, but you have plenty of wallet to spend, and most students don't expend it all. That's all done. And I don't need any of this anymore. So what I'm going to do is come over to here, and I will need to submit that. And so you'll see I've got my deliverable explained there. So what I will do is hit my submit assignment, and then go browse and find that. And it should be the screenshot I just completed here, and I'll open that. You'll notice I didn't need to put my name on it or anything like that, because the name is embedded in the screenshot. And then I'll just hit submit assignment. And wahoo, got my confetti. If I goofed, submitted the wrong one, I can hit resubmit assignment and re-upload, no problem. If I go to my grades, it is going to look like this, where it'll say, okay, you're missing a whole bunch of stuff, but hey, look, you got this assignment done, and the instructor hasn't looked at it yet, but they'll need to put a score on it. And if I click here, it'll actually take me here and say, okay, great, there's that screenshot. It shows that I have it in here. You can put a comment if you need to, but that's pretty much it. Okay, so that's essentially it for this lab, for this assignment, and gives you the understanding of how to do this. And I hope this helps, and enjoy the lab.